Hey there, it's Laurent, the bass player from Blackwaltz, and I'm here to answer a few questions for you guys.
Hello, I'm June from Blackwaltz, and you're watching Blackwaltz-Track ID Musician Edition.
Let's go.
I think it would have to be Alexi Laiho from Children of Bodom, who tragically died a few weeks back. Seriously, when I was in middle school and I started to listen to metal music, and I saw videos of him breaking down solos and songs, I was like, wow, this guy is a machine. He's so amazing. I want to listen to that sort of music, and I want to do just that. And the first bass players that influenced me, well, non-metal, would be Victor Wooten. When I started playing the bass, my mom got me a CD of him, and I thought it was just brilliant. I was like, oh my god, you can do that with a bass. It's outstanding. And metal related, I think two very different players. Fieldy from Korn, because once again I was in middle school. This was very new to me, and he was so, he had that slappy sound, really aggressive. And Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, one of the best, clearly.
It would be Brad Delson from Linkin Park, because Linkin Park was the very first metal band I listened to. I mean, it is the band that got me into metal, basically. And guitar playing wise, I would say obviously Shoe.
The first one was probably Kiko Reiro, former Angra's guitarist. That was like my first shock as a aspiring guitar player myself.
I'm gonna say either John Bailey or Gina Gleason from Baroness. They became one of my favorite bands, and I think they're amazing. They also sound like great human beings, but I'd love to jam with those guys.
Aaron Marshall from Intervals. I think it would be fun just jamming around with Fred Bourne. I think it would be fun with him.
John Petrucci. Now, everyone knows he's my favorite guitar player. I'm far from being as good as him, but that would be a total blast.
It's gotta be Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. He's such a strong presence in the band. All his lines are iconic. He's a legend. Clearly, he's a legend.
Sheep, Joe Satriani, a little bit of Kirk Hammett sometime at the very beginning. Used to be very influenced by Kirk Hammett. And riffing wise, I'm more of a Mark Tremonti guy. So just mix all them up and you have it, basically.
John Petrucci again. It's odd actually. I think some of my playing, it's a mix between Mark Tremonti and John Petrucci, but in the end, every time I pick up a guitar and I go for like a lick or something to warm myself up, I end up playing something Petrucci-ish. So yeah, I think the guitarist that influenced me the most, tone-wise and even philosophical kind of way, it's probably John Petrucci. I like his approach to music in general.
The one I'm gonna name is not underrated per se, but to many bass players he's a legend. But I don't see him enough on like the best bass players of all time. And it's Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath. He got such great sound and powerful riffs. To me, he's a legend, and I know many people think that the same way, but I feel like we don't see enough of him in like the most influential bass players of all time.
The two guitar player from Haken, Griffiths and Henschel.
People might disagree with that, but as a guitar player, obviously he's insanely famous and everyone knows him, but I think as a guitar player, John Mayer is absolutely underrated. He's an amazing blues guitarist. I mean, he's phenomenal, and people will only know him for his mellow songs and nice facial features, but he's an amazing guitar player.
As far as guitar is concerned, it's gotta be Tornado of Souls by Megadeth. It's like the perfect solo ever. It's amazing. It's I never get tired of it. It's like heard it like 1,000 times, and like you hear it kick in, and you're like, oh yes, you're so sucked in, as you would be in the eye of the tornado. But as far as bass is concerned, I don't think it's not a solo. It's more like a bass bridge. It's like that bass part in the middle of Orion by Metallica. It's so iconic. It's perfect. I love it.
The end solo from Count of Tuscany from Dream Theater, because I think it is the very first guitar solo that had me crying for the first time.
Either the Best of Times from Dream Theater, which is my favorite solo of all time, or the whole Caliph of Dover song, because that's a masterpiece. I mean, you want to hear a guitar piece with every single guitar technique in it, that's the one. But yeah, as a solo, probably the Best of Time from Petrucci again.
It's not really metal. It's just a band of individual players that I really wish I could see together to see what it sounds like. It would be Dave Grohl on the drums, Josh Homme on the guitar and singing, vocal, Jack White on like solo guitar and vocals as well, obviously, Justin Chancellor, who's my favorite bass player of all time, and Mark Lanigan doing like the main vocals. It would sound probably beast. Make that happen.
Wow. I mean, it depends on the genre of metal music. When the classic and heavy and progressive and stuff, I'd say Portnoy. But if it goes in more extreme, I would say Inferno from Behemoth. Bass, I'd say Laurent. Which is not even a joke. I'd say Laurent or Paolo from Trivium. For the guitars, I'd say Shu, Michael Romeo, because it would give like crazy solo parts. And on vocal, Ross Jennings, and they've had to add keyboard player Yuki from Glenarius again.
So that would be Mike Portnoy on the drums. That would be John Petrucci on the guitar. We kind of know this lineup. Felipe Andreoli on the bass guitar from Angra. Kevin Moore on keyboard, and Russell Allen on the vocals. And that'd be something.
I'd love to own one of those high-end custom Warwick basses because they sound amazing and they look amazing. It's the whole, looks are sort of important to me as far as basses are concerned, but they have such a growl and a powerful sound. I'd love that. I might also go for some handmade Japanese luthier bass, like a Momose jazz bass. They're perfection.
Any ESP, as long as it is ESP, it's all good to me.
Drums.
I'm gonna leave aside rock and stoner, and because that's metal, rock, stoner, doom. That's what I listen to mainly. I'm gonna go with something completely different, and I'm going to name Jordi Savall, who is a viol player and a conductor, and he's a specialist of early music, like medieval, Baroque, Renaissance, and he's one of the ambassador of that music in our times, and he's been for decades now, and I think what he does for music is very important, that we have this constant preservation of old times music, and he's amazing. I really look up to him.
I'm gonna pick one because you have to pick one, but given the fact that Blackwaltz was named after the first boss of Final Fantasy IX, I would say Nobuo Uematsu, even though he's not the only one I respect outside of the metal music sphere.
Well, as I said, John Mayer, I really love John Mayer. I think he's insanely talented. If we go to like the opposite of metal, I'm a huge Justin Timberlake fan, and Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is probably like something I find myself listening to very often. Love MJ.
And that's it for us all. Take care. We have some new stuff coming up soon. As usual, just subscribe, like, share, and see you guys around.
Glory, shame, truth intact. Pain is all